Well, here we go again. Welcome, everybody, to the show we call the Inworld Review. Inworld, of course, is referring to many virtual worlds that are powered by Open Simulator, and they all come together, or most of them do anyway, to form the Hypergrid. It's a system where you can jump from one world to another, take all your assets, inventory, and communications and everything around with you. There are, of course, some of the older style worlds out there. OpenSim is very much modelled on Second Life, for example, and although Second Life is still around, you can't jump in and out of it freely. You have to have a dedicated client. So they haven't quite gotten the ball with that one yet, but we keep jumping around the hypergrid and we look at places, destinations, and the arts in particular, and of course the people without whom it wouldn't exist at all. Everything in OpenSim, by and large, is user created, by the way. The platform provides the tools, but what you do with it is down to the users. And that means it's an absolute heyday for artists, of course. But the communications things too, you can prototype things in a whole group and interact with them together in the same space. And I don't think there are actually any other virtual worlds, especially these new fangled metaverse things they keep coughing up, that actually do that. They've all got one or two elements, but not the whole shebang. But we've got the whole shebang. That's why we're here. So that's what we do. My name is Mal Burns, and I'm your host. On my left-hand side is my wonderful co-host, Tosha Tyran. Welcome, Tosha.
Hi, Mel.
And yeah,
nice to be here again. Yeah. It's nice to be here again.
Very good.
And I'm glad to have a dry place here because I'm greeting from a rain-flooded Costa Brava.
Oh dear me. Right, yeah. Okay. We've got sort of, well, it's not summer anymore, but it's a bit of blue sky. It's quite warm. But as we've had a bit of wetness, but not anyway. I keep looking at the weather maps of the European continent, and you in Spain and me in Britain. We shouldn't be that far away, but believe me, when it comes to the weather, it's a barrier, constant barrier. Low pressure, high pressure ridges between them, and I'd have to ask the weatherman what all that's about. Anyway, on my right-hand side, of course, is the right-hand man himself, James Atlloud. He of the knobs and the fiddling and the buttons and the audio visuals and. We're both rather desperate about audio at the moment. Something went right 2 weeks ago that isn't working this week, but we're going to carry on regardless. So welcome, James.
Yeah, thank you, Mel. So typical of computers. And I was going to talk about everyone's lips, but I see my lips aren't moving either. So maybe this should be a no-lip movement show.
Oh, my goodness.
I haven't even looked about it.
I was talking a minute ago.
Yeah. Right.
It's odd, isn't it? It's sort of 1 minute it's gabbing about. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that talk style is just toggle to talk. Yes, well, my lips appear to be moving, but all that's happened now is my head's gone down, so I can't see my lips from my hat.
Yeah, I see them moving though, so that's a good sign.
Okay.
Mine
sometimes,
too. Yeah.
Sometimes the HUD that controls these things tends to time out. If it doesn't detect you actually talking for a while, it just sort of tapes your lips up temporarily.
Well, and it's been so funny in Firestorm, both in Open Simulator and in Second Life. I always have to toggle audio and then click and unclick and click the move lips in order for it to work in Firestorm. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but
and that's with a mesh lip controller or with the standard?
No, that's both. It's both with the mesh and it's with the legacy avatar, the system avatar with using Inworld voice. Yeah.
That's very old because the mesh controller and the Inworld lip controller are two very different technologies.
They have not really anything to do with one another.
You wouldn't think.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Very odd.
But I'm sure it was an improvement. It was some kind of improvement because it always is.
Yeah, it's sort of like Microsoft Windows, isn't it? Say, wow, smashing upgrade today. Smashing your computer, that is.
That's it.
Something like that, yeah.
Right,
The upward, the obligatory downgrade advertisers and update.
Yep.
Yes, and uh, we think we know what we're doing. That's a classic approach.
Well, that's our
They
first
think
mistake. That's right.
they think they know. Yes,
Right.
indeed. Right. Oh well, on with the show, so to speak. Right. Now. One of the highlights of traveling around the Hypergrid every week is the Hypergrid Safari run by older co-host here, actually, Thesa Ember. And the clubhouse for Hypergrid Safari is now hosted on its own region, same grid where HIE took place. And they meet there every Wednesday at noon Pacific time, which in Europe is about 9 p.m. In Britain, here it's 8 p.m. And go to 2 different locations every week. Now, as you know, we weren't here last week. Well, maybe you don't know that, but I can tell you we weren't. So don't go looking for the replay. There ain't one. We weren't here, but also the safari immediately preceded, not this week, but the week before. I didn't actually take any film on because both stops were rather unlikely candidates for film. But I've just got Tosa's website up here so we can sort of look at very briefly what we missed. Here we are. Okay, I'm just going to head forward a bit. Okay, the 8th of May, basically, a princely safari. This is actually referring to the fact that Prince Armor was showing us his medieval sim. And in Thursday's blog, you get plenty of stuff about the chat that actually happened while we were there, because there's no voice recording. So what the logs that Thursday keeps there are the best thing going, really. And she did actually take some pictures, of course. So here we are, a princely safari. Is that the princely one himself? I'm not
That's
quite
quite
sure.
an avatar. It is. It's amazing.
Yes, I know. The princely is not quite the adjective I would use there. More of a nightmare, actually. But never mind. Never
And
mind.
did I
Princely
did I
nightmare.
read that this was created by AI? Am I mistaken? I think he said this avatar was generated by AI.
Oh, I don't.
Oh,
I
okay.
know that there was a question, but I don't remember the answer.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And as I said, I haven't really kept any film of this, and remember you can go to HG Safari, HGSAFARI.blogspot.com, and you get several posts a week, including 2 about each week on, say, the Thursday about the previous day's safari. And she does include chat, so things like that are actually answered in chat. And so yeah, it's not worth, you can read it at the blog. There's no point in us doing it here. We're just sticking with the pictures to give you an idea of what was going on there. I can't remember. I might maybe, yeah, I think my camera just ran out of anything interesting to pan it. Oh, that's a nice shot there. I do remember that. Oh yes, and I remember. Well, who knows why I didn't take film. Lag or something. So there's the medieval bit at least. Oh yeah. A lot of empty space between the builds. It's like it seemed to be, in some cases, it seemed like to be a dumping ground of historical objects. Sort of the one there, and a big space in between. But you can do everything. So it's more of a medieval building showcase and things than a complete medieval build. And there he is again. Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't feel threatened. Well, actually, I should feel threatened by AI if that isn't AI. But I'm going to pass on that one. The next stop the same week was our old friend Bloom Peter, her MIDI tool. Which we've seen an awful lot of. Here she actually explained it a lot more detail-wise. She's actually launched the whole entire MIDI set as a tool in World, and she's rezzed all the different bits of it that she controls as a sort of MIDI player. While we're going along, let's just run quickly into the pictures of this. So you can see that she's actually, I don't know how she would do this. I mean, this is like all the code that you never see when you're playing a MIDI keyboard. I can tell you that. But there are specific sounds in the MIDI keyboard
That
set that
that
try and
seems pure magic what she's doing there.
It is. It is.
yeah,
And amazing because of the inherent lag in the commands in the scripting
Yeah.
language. And Bloom
Yeah.
has made some amazing improvements. And to put this looks a lot like a sequencer, you know, like a Fruity Loops or you know, any kind of a
yeah,
sequencing software. And to have it work reliably and in time is fantastic.
Mm.
Just
Mm.
amazing.
yeah. Yeah, I
Mm.
suppose there is a bit of the old Fruity Loops in there, actually. It's yeah, I mean there are only so many sounds that a standard MIDI
Right.
can make.
256, I think. Yeah. In
Yeah,
the standard instrument set, right?
yeah. But I mean, my keyboard, for example, can generate a whole lot more, but the offline version can generate thousands. The online version relies on the MIDI data set, you know.
Mm.
So, and the sound is a bit different. It sounds MIDI files. A friend of mine who I've seen for ages actually, he was a conductor at an orchestra in Prague, I think it was, and he composed this piece. I think Sarah Brightman sung on eventually on the final thing, but it was for an orchestra. But he composed it all on MIDI. He's a brilliant composer. He's another Mozart. But the moment I listened to it, I think, you know, what is this? You know, this is an orchestra I'm hearing, but there's something kind of missing. And it was like the old thing when CDs first came along, and you listened to the early CDs and thought, there's just something not quite right. You know, the notes weren't sustaining because they weren't waveforms anymore. They were pieces of, I don't know, but it is, you know, but you know, the MIDI interface is a complex thing, and this seems to be quite literally a complete reconstruction of the audio set that is actually built into a MIDI system. So, and she can just convert the existing sounds, but also the tracks themselves, I think. But anyway, she did show us little bits as we went on. I'll move the pictures of Conda. There she's got a keyboard. Lord knows how many HUDs she has on screen when she's doing this. It must be like Kelso with his animations. There they are again. You just, oh yeah, there's screens there and there's some screens off to the left you can't even see yet. More precise ones. And those are dancing avatars who obviously take to the beat of the MIDI. And maybe or something, but look a bit. It's not quite so horrific, that one, is it? So, yeah, this is more of the information at the side. So this is stuff only she sees, of course, but these look like windows, if you see what I mean. But it's funny juxtaposition. There she is, obviously pressing things, standing in front of it, and everybody else is not sure what they should be doing, leaping around or dancing or what. You have to be in a particular place to get the sounds right. You know, you can. I remember the first time I went to one of these things, and I had it. I had, as usual, my sound set to record from my camera position. So I was around in camera, and of course, the closer I get to the object source, the louder the music gets. And as I pull out and pan around a bit, it gets fainter. So, you know, if you're prepared to, if you're going there just to listen, it's probably better to just hear the sounds from an avatar position, so you get an equal sound level from depending on wherever you are. But you know, it's only a click away to actually change those settings. But sometimes it's just fun to move your camera and hear the audio going in and out. Weird ideas I have. Right. So there's so much you can do with the same picture of this giant wall. I don't. Yes, somebody was with a semi-transparent screen in front of it, which is showing that very strange video. I don't know what the point of that was, to be honest.
Looks like 10 days.
Yeah, now she's showing us some of her own heads-up display, which again, it's you know, these are things you get as a menu on in a normal, as James mentioned, something like Fruity Loops, for example, would allow you all these sort of things, a lot more than that, but you know, She's got barely a dozen up there, given the number that must be available. And yeah, the party continued. There we saw it in colour at night time, I guess. Makes all the difference, doesn't it? All the nice colours. And some interesting dancers, except that's actually part of the instrument. This was actually, we went back after that one with the big illustrations on it to this one, which is her basic set where she holds dances. And as she's playing the MIDI instruments, all these cats, you can't really tell from this view, and all the instruments behind, they animate. So if she's tapping that, if she's tapping this drum on the MIDI, for example, it animates. And if she's tapping another one there, it animates. So you might have find two tapping, but only the sound she's touching are actually animated while she's touching them. So you've got a mixture of sort of non-moving orchestra parts and highly animated orchestra parts. Anyway, it has to be seen to be believed, and we've shown videos of that in the past. And yes, the great big hands here, they're clipping away. And there's two fake avatars who are moving a pump. Well, I've got to have some power from somewhere, haven't we? And there we are again. So moving back up to Safari again. Now, meanwhile, on May the 3rd, which was a day before our last show, we were last here on May the 4th, but this came out the day before. This is just an article that actually wrote about Nadir Ray, who's on the Ignatius Fatuus grid, and welcome return to Guin. Yeah, I'm not going to pronounce it. Guet or something. If you're not French, you may not know the term. It's a sort of open air tavern, apparently. So, yeah, immortalized by Renoir, as shown in that picture. Anyway, this is just a sort of a little visit and chat that Thursday had with her dear, and very nice it is too. This wasn't an actual safari. This is just a little blog post about that tour. I must say that the paintings are wonderful, and yeah, very French looking, isn't it? For sure. Only 6 pictures on that one, but never mind. You can't win them all.
It's like stepping right into the paintings.
Oh, you do? Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, as I say, this wasn't a safari, so I wasn't there. So yeah, I've certainly been to a few where you can step into the paintings and then take a photograph of yourself as dragging the hay wain around or something. Do I really want to? Okay. Now, last Saturday, again, this is before the following safari, another article. This one's called Heart of Coal, and this is about a sort of mining disaster in 1956 in Belgium, and a coal mining disaster too. Basically, every country seems to have them. I always think of the Bee Gees' early song about New York mining disaster and things, and we had Aberfan here in the UK. It's always a problem with mining, I guess, but never mind. Anyway, this is really a tribute to the people that lost their lives in that, with photos and stuff. And obviously, the tribute itself is totally Inworld, so hence the slideshow shows us what it's like. You move in as an avatar and you can read the information, see photographs of those who perished, and get a lot of background. Yeah, elementary background information on what happened there, and sort of tribute and little animations and things like that.
So good to be reminded of the cost of progress.
Yeah. You call coal progress. Well, I suppose at the time it was progress.
It was progress, right? Industrial progress, right?
Yeah, the Industrial Revolution, the forerunner of the techno revolution is nightmarish now. Anyway, very true.
I can't even imagine working that way. Ugh.
Oh God, can you imagine being in a coal mine? And of course, the thing that pisses me is, in Britain at least, it was kids, because they needed people. They needed small people.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like in the Second World War, I think my father drove a tank actually, but apparently they recruited not so much kids, but they recruited very small people because they're the only ones who could fit into the driving seat of a tank. Regular-sized people could be gunners or something on top, but they couldn't be the driver in that little small hole. And kids have been exploited over the years.
And small horses or donkeys, they
Oh,
also
Yeah.
used, and
right.
they never saw the light of day. They would just, at times, 10 years underground and never got out. The animals now I'm referring to. But,
Yeah.
I think in some parts of the world, mining conditions are so much different. Not yet, still
No.
today they're almost the same. And when you see the major disasters that have happened lately, then you think, well, it's not so far off from this stuff here.
Yeah.
Yeah. There must be, well, I suppose it depends on countries what the health and safety regulations are. I mean, I imagine now they're quite tough, but I mean, so the idea of people going down, boring holes, and then building like wooden scaffolds to hold the roof up above their head, and sort of
Yeah.
using just planks of wood and whatever they bored the hole with. I mean, that it doesn't sound remotely safe. They can. I mean, they've got the boring machines these days, of course. I mean, they can bore a hole, from Britain to France and for a railway.
Yeah. But
Takes a
still,
bit of a while, but yeah.
I was quite a few years ago near my home at that time in Germany in a mine, that was not coal, but kali. You know what kali is?
Oh,
It's like
No.
well, it's another thing. It's not coal. It's like a salt.
Calcium?
And yes.
oh,
Okay.
okay, fine.
And I was in a thing like that. It just, for a visit. It was still an active mine, and I had once in a while a day that people could visit that. It was so horrible, so horrible. I was so glad when I was out there, and I swear to God, I would never ever go so down under the ground again. It was like under a big lake that is there
Oh,
in that place, and it must have been about 200 meters under the ground, and it was horrible. Just the knowledge that there was so much
yeah.
thing above you.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've never actually been on the channel, as they call it, channel tunnel to France. Actually, I mean, the idea of the hovercraft and the ferries are now gone. Everybody goes on a train underneath this huge weight of water. Really, you want to do that? And that, the underground bothers me and get claustrophobia, but also I get agoraphobia when I'm too high. I'm just better standing on solid ground. Hopefully far enough away from the sea that I don't get drowned. I don't know. Yeah, it makes you do appreciate I wonder to what extent these men and women and kids for that matter knew the sacrifice they were sort of making, because we can view it now and say we can honor their sacrifice, but I don't think they had any option, which is even sadder, really. Anyway.
oh, by the way, I know now it's not calcium but potash.
Oh,
Potash?
Right. Yep, I've heard
Potash
that.
mine.
Putty.
Oh, horrible.
I don't know what potash is. All right, anyway, this week, let's get on to this week here. A two-sweet safari. God. This is Novale on the Hypergrid grid. It's got 4 different seasons in side by side, like the real world it represents, and beautiful eastern Canadian countryside. So it's all the seasons of the year in Canada, and it's put together by Debishi Strolino and Kelsey Uxley. And let's go with the pictures. Obviously, you can go to hgsafari.blogspot.com to read the blog and read the chat that was going on while we're there. Nice picture that. Actually looks like a kind of painting, I think, because some of the colours are a bit back to a normal kind of picture. Yeah, so as you can see, oh God, that's a funny looking tree. I've got a tree advertised somewhere in an old grid I used to be in. The tree. Anyway. Okay, well, this is where we were getting a little pep talk, as it were. But it's much more fun to go out there. Animated GIF there from Thursday. I think she managed to keep a lock on that character while she was doing it. It certainly looks.
That was fun.
It looks like he's a hummingbird jerking backwards and forwards.
Dandelion
The seeds.
seed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Seeds of dandelion.
God, I got masses of those floating in the window at the moment, or something similar, anyway. Right, no, sort of long shot. A lot of actually terraform mountaining there in the background. Sort of still good way of filling in.
I think the terrain is largely the same, and they changed the, of course, the seasons, the color of the terrain, and then the decorations and buildings. But I recognized the observatories were the same as the Christmas build or the winter build and the spring build.
Yes, yes, the grid is the same, but they do change totally the seasons.
So much,
and it's so beautiful, you know.
And deep.
Yeah, I got to admit,
there's such depth to what they're doing. Yeah.
And if you do use mesh and things for terraforming or whatever, it means you really can't change. You know, if you've got a particular mesh rock beneath your feet, you know, graduating into some kind of snow, you can't change that easily. Whereas if you terraformed it, even though it might look a bit more primitive, to change the mood of a season, you can just alter the 4 or 5 images that make up the raw file for the terrain. So, you know, sort of your snow peak can actually be lush greenery in the right time of year, you know.
I don't know exactly how they do it, of course, but Dabichi said something like they have OARs for each season, and they just change the OARs totally.
Yeah, that does make sense, because it wouldn't be a matter of going over the same scene and winterizing it. You only do it once, and you bring up the OAR for the season.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. You could even do a monthly OAR, couldn't you? That way. Yes, yeah, and that way there'd be minimal work each time you entered a new season. But you know, all you really need to do is tweak the one you've got with new things and stuff, you know, to make it. Yeah, that makes sense now. That's the more obvious way to do it. Come to think of it. Meditating in the rain. Well,
it's Ange, I think. Yeah.
And oh yes, this was the thing we sat on, and were taken for a ride halfway around the thing.
By butterflies. That's funny.
Well, it's a leaf, actually. Yeah, the butterfly thing, I'm not quite. Yeah, that's like a horse if you're driving it, and then this is like a little leaf, like you have flying fairies on, and then the person behind is pretty. Is that you? Can't really tell. It's certainly got a lot of hair on it.
No, not me. I was not in there anymore.
You weren't here. Yeah, but basically, there's a whole touring flight, you know, that went all over the place. And then we ended up in the winter area. And at the winter area, there was this basically talk and presentation on maple syrup. And they told me that the syrup and maple stuff, it's not a sugar and it doesn't affect diabetes, and I would be safe with it because I'm diabetic. And bullshit. I looked it up. It's definitely on my no-go list. Maple syrup or not, it's still a sugar, you know. But I'll forgive them that.
Good.
So they didn't try to convert me. But they're giving a presentation there, and here we go again, meeting up. At the very end, we all met up for a meal. I had cheated. I'd actually gone in there for a meal while they were blabbering around outside. So I didn't need I didn't feel like a second meal that quickly. And then the final stop there. So at this point, I'm actually going to shift to our media. And I'm afraid where there is some sound, it is going to be relaying through my mic again, unfortunately. We fixed that 2 weeks ago, and now we've got the same problem all over again. But let's start with this one. I'll put the sound up so you can sort of hear it in the background, but it's... And then they give your last... This is actually Debishi talking generally, and then before Kel said... He's actually saying a slideshow that's on on the land there, but of the land. Is this audible at all?
No, it's
No.
not good.
It's not. Okay, right, fair enough. If we get our proper system working, we can have it again. But for the moment, it's just a load of pictures, so to speak. No problem with that. But there's well, it's 12 minutes, so I'm just gonna flip through this. We move to after she's finished with those, showing us those. She hands over to Dibici here. Sorry, to Kelso here. It's Dibici talking in the first bit. And Kelso, I don't know what he's saying, something like, well, it's time for you to get up and follow me. There he goes. Is that the, well, so, I love it when we see people typing a non-existent keyboard. And, so there was no real sound on this. I don't know, well, there might be, but might be good in. Oh, nice sound effects too. Those are in that pretty good. What it is about it's, I think it's the colour and the pleats and everything. It's a nice costume, that. Mind you, I forgot to mention this at the top of the show. We didn't mention the costumes on display here today. Tosha, of course, is doing some colour matching with James's boots, I think. Something like that. Oh. Not quite so radioactive, though, are they? They're more subtle, your colours.
Well, she has a rain slicker on and rain boots.
Mm-hmm. Today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? Go with the rainy bits.
for the rain in Costa Brava.
Exactly.
And you actually get some of that rain to put above the stage. The occasional surprise. Anyway, so anyway, it goes through the various seasons as you can see. Kelso is moving everybody around into different parts of the region, and yeah, you can see from the film here.
Just an entirely beautiful region.
It is, yeah.
I really love it.
I've been in real luck here because the special region we're going to show later, Paradise Cobra is another region that, rich, lush, trees, plants, and landscaping and stuff like that. Overly done in their cases, we'll see. But these two locations from Safari this week are both been pretty spectacular in terms of.
And this region is so much worth visiting because you have so many activities that you can do there, so much in the springtime as in the summertime, as in the wintertime, in the fall time, you have different activities there, it's just really beautiful.
So the film tends to slow down a bit when I enter a building because my camera is very constrained. I know there's a long gap there where I try to get the camera out back into the air. Yeah, lovely choice of trees. Well,
and
Tosha
it really is a glimpse into the Canadian region where Dibici and Kelso live. That is so. It is so real.
Is it principally a French Canadian region? Do you know?
Yes.
Yeah, it figures. Yeah.
I think it's Ontario where they live. If I'm not mistaken, it's the French region. Ooh.
As if that POTUS creature enough trouble talking about trying to buy Canada. I think he'd forgotten that French Canadians are in an uproar. Yeah, and well, all Canadians are, I think. But I mean, you don't want to upset the French.
Quebec is the French region of Canada.
Right. Yes. That definitely
Quebec.
I know it's the French region. Yeah. Right. As I said, this is a long clip, so I'm going to jump through the bits once we've got the idea of. All these are sort of scenes like, I mean, since we moved into the studio a few months ago, I've been sort of building in the backyard. I don't know what to call it. Putting trees and plants and all sorts of walkways that aren't hard to see down. And then I go out to these places and I get inspired. And I think, oh, I'll come back and redo it again. And at least it's seemingly lag-free here at the moment. Liku here earlier, and he was saying it was all fine. We got another reboot here today, so the studio should be better than ever. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, as you can see, there's bits of all the seasons all in one place here, rather than one region that's always made into a different region, different season, so to speak. But running through there, slightly more wintry bits, as you can see. And there is from a distance. So I'm going to move on to the next clip, which is pretty damn short. There's sound on this, but this is just the the folks, the fire folks ourselves, meeting up, as it were, wherever we were at this point. I have a habit of going in there and doing lots of filming, and only when I've got enough film to satisfy myself do I come back down and find where everybody is. Usually,
I love those little houses with the bunny families.
They are, yes. Yeah. Easy to miss too. The first time I wandered that way with the camera, I just went straight by. You know, I saw there was this thing on the right, and you had to climb up. But I just followed it on straight through to what that was. I don't know. There's his head. She did turn up at one safari with this sort of platform on her head, and sort of. I think the idea is, you know, a lot of us in NOAA can sort of find her on the map, and if we're lost, we can teleport to her. But you know, what happens then is you land on the person's head. So I think there's imagine some headgear that soften the landing of people on her
protecting her head. That's
yes. It looks decent too. If somebody landed, they were on a platform on their head. It looked a bit more reasonable than sort of 2 avatar feet trying to straddle her ears or whatever. What happened there? Oh, it's the end of that one. I think that's why. Okay. Oh, it's moved to the next one already. So this one's another 11 minutes. Okay, there's the thing we got on to actually take the little ride. I may feel this fairly quickly. Here we are. There we are. Since we were talking about those, this is the bit where we were all, Kelso there, and we all came up. You couldn't actually teleport up there. You had to go up the damn ladder. It was a trick, but it worked. Yeah. But I have a habit of coming into where I want to be and then double clicking to go there. And it doesn't matter about my viewer settings. It just doesn't work on some places. They have default landing positions that override our free will. I like it. Oh yeah, that's the thing we have to stand on. So that leaf is where you sort of sit, and then as you see, you've got the butterfly sort of. Yeah, the physics don't make sense. Don't even think it. A humble butterfly, however big, and I'm sure it can carry the leaf, but whether it can carry the leaf with the.
And then in the rain.
In the rain, yes.
Butterflies flying in the rain.
Leaf would be a puddle, actually, in real life, if we'd had to sit on that, actually. Yeah.
Oh, but it's very cute.
So, oh yeah, and as well as the rain, we have regions with the you see the fog is floating there. Of course, the fog is actually you can't. It's not actually a transparent mist that your camera can go through. Your camera gets stuck on the lump of cloud that is the fog, and stops you panning properly. But get there in the end. Yeah, but more it is just quaint little buildings that are. So get a click on something and get in the wrong. Yeah, I think I got stuck on an edit this tree or something. Anyway, there we are. Back to normal. Sit here. Oh, that's it. Yeah, there we are. So I sat down and immediately took off. My camera didn't go with me because I was looking at the scene. So, give it a couple of minutes. There we are, and my camera is now caught up with my ride. And yeah, it was quite a long journey. It was probably about 3 minutes in before my camera switched there. And somebody there was ahead of me, of course. And it's another one of these regions where all the film I've got this week suffers a bit from unresed things. Not just through draw distance, but just huge complexity of things. And I thought it was better to suffer that and actually see some really nice places. And one of the ones I go to later, it was just appalling to film from the sky and try and get everything in. But then I went to the ground and started walking around, and it was smooth as silk. So go figure. Yeah. So yeah, you get the idea of a different. So a mixture of, this is the late winter, isn't it? The snow is beginning to thaw by the look of it, and it's there, but it's no longer the dominant thing. And I've got to pick up some of those trees without leaves, although I don't know. I like the ones with leaves because I can use them to form canopies over to nice little gardens and whatever. And where I live in real life, I look out the window in winter and, just see these skeleton trees and life down below because I'm up top. But now, spring's here, I can't see anything outside the window except trees. Massive. Oh, and birds on the leaves and stuff. I can't even see down to through the leaves to the ground. That's seasons for you. Wonderful things. Oh yes, and now we're back to, we saw this earlier on. I forget who's that. I know him from the house. I can never remember his name.
George.
George, that was right. We went in there and started eating away while everybody was fiddling around outside, wondering, where's Kelso? What do we do? Quite like that. Preparing some of the broth in there for us to eat. And outside, of course, is where the display. We're still in the kitchen here, the indoor bit. Okay, this is outside again. And the bread there. And I don't quite trying to remember how I did this. Oh, it looks like I'm coming out and about a bit. Okay, here we are. So then they gave a little display on the season of sugar. I showed you this on there's slides, of course, and it's all about the history and the process of making syrup, maple syrup from the maple tree, of course, and very traditional activity in that part of the world. So. Oh yes, this is it. Okay, so this is the beginning of the next clip, and this is dear. I recorded the whole presentation, so maybe when we got better sound at some point, I'll rerun this. It's really not loud enough to run now anyway.
Sugar bush.
Oh, okay. Well, it's loud enough, but I don't know whether it sounds very good.
Simply because the sugar season is really a tradition in the province of Quebec, and a spring cannot be conceived without the sugaring season and a ride to the sugar shack.
Okay, I suspect that was a bit distorted. Thought I'd try it on you anyway. At least it was loud. So just going quickly through it, she's talking through this, just some of them. And then she's got this other display talking about Quebec here, really, and illustrations about the way they actually process it all and get this, make the syrup and stuff. And yeah, because we had audio, I've got the full presentation there, which maybe we can run at some point somewhere when we've got good sound fidelity. It's quite a lesson, actually. So it's what is it? It's about 13.5 minutes, that clip, basically. So would take a bit of time anyway, but you can get the idea of what happened at the visit. So I'm going to move along now to, there's two more. Right, I'm stopping that there. Right, I'm going back up to the safaris we haven't read. So the other Queen of the Paths, right? This was hgsafariblogspot.com again, and this is Thursday's report on the other Thursday visit, which was Toots Zablin's Queen of the Paths. Oh, that's not. It's on the Pangea grid, and it's a region called the Waterfall Swamp. And these are the pictures she took of it. You see it all congregated down. Another just landscapey, very picturesque thing. And as it's no accident that there's called the blog Queen of the Paths, because that's what she does with the paths, basically. And she was wandering around, leading the way, as we'll see. Some of these paths are just complex. I love it when they curve and things like that, but it's to get people to walk up those mountains, that's the way the paths have always been built, so they're much longer to tread along than they look from a distance. But she's just done them really well, different kinds of paths. Like, look at this one coming up and then joins the main one. And aerial view, social view, climbing view. Quite a climb. I like the climbs are. I like locking the camera behind people and just watch them all climb up. Although it's sometimes fun to see them running down as well. And yeah, actually I found that was a bit depressingly ugly up there. Actually, about saying of what a wonderful view it is. You climb up there and you've got a good view. But sometimes the view isn't everything. If you're standing in a in a dirty mine looking at a view kind of thing, it's not a mine. I don't know what it was, but that's a lovely picture. Lovely mood with the misty sky. And them things again. Does that woman fear nothing? Come on, Thursday. You're asking for trouble. Okay. And that's the last of the pictures there. So, moving on to the final bits of Safari video. This is the same place. This is where we land. And again, nice sound effects on this, but you won't be able to appreciate them. So for now, I'm just running it silently. What have we got here? 5 minutes. Oh yeah. And 15 minutes after. Good job on flipping through these at some speed. That is Toots, of course. I can tell you, did Toots do something this year at HIE? I know she was the year before. I don't know. I thought one of you might have known.
I'm trying to remember as well. I could search the internet, I guess.
No. I mean, no, she's been very much part of HIE over the years as well. She has. So, from as well as Safari, we know her from that context too. It's another example, unfortunately. Sort of grey mesh shapes that have lost their textures temporarily because not had had enough time to fully rose, and quite a lot of us slowed things down. But it didn't matter. So when you got the shape, actually, it's still sort of, it's probably a more important thing. Okay, let's see if we can skip forward to find. Looks like most of this clip is just Safaritas walking around. Yeah, the lady of the paths. Okay, let's see what happens when she gets. Oh yeah, the top, and then turns at the top. So most of it is us following her. It's only when you're actually following along the paths you think, oh, there's more of this, and you turn the corner and there's more of it. And of course, like I saw in that long shot, you know, there's it curves and rises and stuff. It's a way of getting up to higher ground, you know, the way you'd have to in real life, rather than cheating in virtual worlds where you can double click to go there, or possibly fly up there, or all sorts of ways of moving around in a world without proper physics. So, you know, moving out again to give you the idea. Because all this time people are chatting in text, of course. So if you're reading it about on Thursday's blog, you'll get an idea. Not that she doesn't print all the text, obviously, but it gives you an idea of the main conversation. Tina, yes, Tina again. Oh gosh, him again. He gets in everywhere, that guy. Okay. So probably pretty fast 5 minutes there. Another aerial view. But the final safari clip, same place this time. This is a long clip, 15 minutes though, so I'm going to be jumping around. This is where, near the end, she took us out of the uplands and highlands, so to speak, and into the swamp. Unfortunately, those little grey circles are actually flying birds who haven't rested yet. So you really get used to them after a while, but it's a shame because I've got loads of those. Something else. Those really aren't black boxes floating around. There's something else.
You know, when you don't see all of the people of Safari, I think it looks almost threatening. She's walking and there's always a guy following her very closely. Sometimes you see just a shadow of him or a glimpse of him, and then you don't see him anymore. And whoop, at the next corner, there he is.
Yes, I mean, you know, I thought my camera had bad habits, but
there's, I think that is Marlon.
Oh, yeah, Marlon is part of that thing too.
Yeah.
It been mentioned, yeah.
Yeah, and they are friends or partners, Marlon and Toots. And I think he's following her all the time. But as you don't see all the people there, and you see that it's all a group and all right, when you see her alone, and then once in a while a glimpse of this guy, you get the feeling, be careful, Toots, but somebody is following you.
Yeah, well, I would be following Hero and Grandma, and then all of a sudden he sort of catches up, and his dark shape takes over the camera view, blocks my view of her. Yeah, so I mean, part of it is just the positioning of the camera as well. And George George is always pottering around in the background there, isn't he? It's like you, James. He's very fond of sitting, finding places to sit.
Yeah, it's a safari tradition, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It's much more James.
Now not anymore so much, but years ago it was not only a tradition; it was a must. You know, if people didn't sit at the safaris, the sim would crash right away.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, that was true.
Or the region.
Yeah, that was true. Yeah. You know, especially if you're having a big group, you know, put out seats for them and tell everybody to sit. And Don't you dare move, you know. And then we learned how to move their seats. So we moved them with their seats. There's a revelation. This swamp area reminds me that there's a swamp area in another area I'm going to cover in a while. There's also somewhere I visited not recently, and it's somewhere I was scouting for material, and maybe something I'd already filmed. But the landing point was in it was sort of little villagey camping things on swamps connected by little bridges and stuff. And it was a hell of a job too. Well, I get lost on camera, but also walk around and get out of them. But eventually you manage to get to what I suppose you could call the mainland. But swamps can be, I mean, I suppose the other threatening is, oh, sorry, I'm trying to right-click on my video, aren't I? Not very helpful. So, as you can see, there's a lot hanging around. Those are in a nice skirt there. These look like New York tenement buildings or something, don't they? Those big, steep steps.
Hello, everyone. Let me start by asking you a question.
Oh.
Just me
Okay.
done already.
So some sound, even though...
No, that was from my TV.
Oh,
okay.
my. I thought my sound was muted. I'm wondering where that came from.
My computer.
Right. Okay, and... Oh, yes, this is the end of the show, because believe it or not, that's the outside of the studio here where I've teleported back to. Takes a while to rest when I get back. Okay, so that's it. That's it for this week on Safari stuff. Moving back to the Safari blog. Right, let me just see. One other on Friday post from Tosha, from paper to pixel. And this is really out of date now, but yesterday, basically, there was a fashion show and party happening at 1 p.m. on the Hypergrid, on a sim called Gino's Butterfly, which is actually owned by Karima Hoysai. I keep forgetting she's on. I don't go to Craft very much these days for, well, I'm not going to go to reasons, but...
Except every weekend.
No, Craft, sorry, not Craft, Kitely.
Kitely, okay.
I keep getting my K's mixed up. Oh, sorry. No, not Craft. I meant Kitely. It's the K. It's the K that's getting to me. Mind you, Craft is the C. So they go figure anyway, Genius Butterfly. But I love Karima's work. So this is a kind of interesting post. Maybe I'll have to put my ethics aside and go to Kitely. There's some other meeting to do with kind of seem to be posting a lot of things to try and get people back there, and especially they were some people are taking a dim view of their attitude to OS Grid going down. They were actually posting, we're Kitely, we're always reliable. We've been here nearly as long as OpenSim, but we do it our way, and there's never any question of losing assets or have to do this sort of stuff, But kind of semi-commercial grid, OS Grid is not. It's a whole different thing, and to take advantage of OS Grid being down to try and capture those people was a bit rude.
Yeah, Petlov and I attended this, and it was interesting. And Elon Tochner was there. He was part of the celebration, which I thought was interesting. So, kind of in a way endorsing the opening. And then it does look like there are going to be a good number of stores. And the story of the fashion designer was really quite nice, I thought. And then at the end, there was a DJ hosted by Rosa Alexiv. So it was a good opening, I thought.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw she'd gone before I called. I saw Petlov online the other day, and I noticed she was in her Kitely avatar. And I thought, brings back a bit of history there, a Kitely avatar.
Kitely's probably my home grid. It's what I use for Safari. And
you still do use, right?
I still do.
I knew you'd given up the regions there. I somehow thought you were.
It's got all my bling from decades of Safari. It's hard to let that inventory go.
True. Yeah. And now, I've never used my Kitely avatar much. It's always been a destination for me rather than any kind of office or residence.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I should probably have come along and sort of. I did go into Kitely come to think of it, a couple of days ago, because I always remember because I get stuck in those waiting stations, and it doesn't take too long, but it's just long. It's just long enough to annoy me,
But they're
You'll be transported to your real destination shortly. Do hang on.
The waiting stations are saving the planet, Mel. They're saving the energy of the
Yes,
servers.
Well, the munitions were doing the same. Anyway, so that was just a little extra post on HG Safari. So before we move on to okay, something interesting that's happened this week. Can't tell you that much about them yet, actually, but in the space of a week, there's been a lot of activity involving 2 new viewers, both of which are stressing that they're as interested in OpenSim as they are in another place, which tends to attract viewers. And yes, the first viewer is one called Aperture, and it seems to be there's a lot of familiar faces on that, and it seems to be run by somebody called William Weaver. And phone was making some strange noise. Don't know what.
There's a video running in Discord from your computer, Mel.
Yeah, and
it's not on our screen leap. We're not seeing that.
No, but it's just running in the background. I haven't got around to it yet. I can show you if you want, but it's
No, I just wondered. I just want to make sure you weren't intending us to see it online. So.
No, it's the second one that was coming up, but I can. I just pause it in that case. Only you guys can see it because you're in Discord, right? So the Aperture viewer, Aperture. Now, them you can actually download this viewer. It's a GitHub. And you better find out, I'm sure. Basically, it's Aperture Viewer. You can see up there, and then /Aperture Viewer. And there's actually 2. It's only for Windows at the moment. So you can download the latest one and install it as you would normally. Though I think there are other options for installing in case you get problems of some sort, but they got all the information here. But even better, they if you make a note of the name Aperture, you'll find that they have a server on Discord as well, which can give you a whole lot of other information. And everybody is actually I had to actually mute them because I was getting too many messages from people contributing to can it do this and whatever. It's as I say, both one of these viewers, I'm getting confused which now. The other viewer, by the way, is called is also on Discord, and it's called Benthic, Benthic, and some people, if you used to OSCC and OpenSim Core, for example, core developers like Ubit and stuff are involved with Benthic. Though, as far as I know, I haven't been able to find a download link for the actual thing here. It just seems to be a sort of I'm discussing the inside outs of it, so to speak. From what I can tell, Aperture is also taking the approach that you know how Firestorm has a lot more tabs and windows that you can pull up to do specific things. That actually Firestorm was the first to do this because it would take very hidden features from the Second Life interface of old and find them and make a little, box for controlling them individually. And Aperture seems to be really taking this one step further, and they're really focusing on giving tools to basically people like us who will want to film and stuff like that. Will the actual native client will be exposed to much more graphical features and things that you can't easily do, even in the Alchemy viewer, which is Second Life only. You can't do it at the moment. There'll just be more little things that you can do to actually render things, and they do make the case for the fact that it will definitely be for OpenSim too. And we know that the Benthic viewer is definitely geared to the Hypergrid and OpenSim because the people involved with this is are actually the OpenSim devs. They're probably more keen on OpenSim than being compatible with Second Life. So 2 new viewers in 1 week. Well, neither of them are actually new, but there's
Can you repeat the name of the second one, the one that is not Aperture?
Yeah, the second one is Ben Thick, BENTHIC. And if you look up servers on Discord, you will certainly find the Benthic one. I found a link for it in William Weaver. I was linked to by Hamlet All. Gave me the link for that. But the Benthic viewer, I got a link from somewhere else. It's not strange in 2 in 1 week. I can't remember offhand, but basically the location of the Discord server was, I was just able to click on it and join, as you can with most Discord things.
Okay.
But always good. It seems like ages. It's about 3 years since I held a viewer panel at the annual conference and things. Maybe this year there'll be a viewer panel again. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows indeed. Right, okay, so that's that one. Now, as mentioned, midweek I went back to the May 16th version of the 3 exhibits in the major Unquiet World thing here. And this week it was Zarf, Daco Monday, and Tina Bay. Sergi Zarf, right there. And I did get a little bit of film of that. Yeah, let's start with it here. Yeah, well, this is now. Remember, we filmed and seen quite a lot of this before, but I just went as a courtesy to the guys here on Craft that were organising it. And there was a lot of there was still some sound on this, but this time it was all in Italian, so I mean there wasn't much I could do. I said, "Oh, very good." I moved my camera around a bit, but last week the one I don't know where we've ever shown that, but Tosha here was at it because one of her builds was being shown, as you can see. This is Echo's build here, and there was actually some talk in that. Some of it was in bits of English and stuff, so I was actually contributing a little bit to the conversation. But anyway, that's Zarf's build.
Yeah, that one's very emotional. That's Tina's, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I saw that coming. I was waiting for the camera to turn, but it did it a different way. Yeah, this is Tina Bay. Yeah, and actually, most of the film I took was in this bit because people were congregated here and they were, talking away. Unfortunately, there was very little text chat to go with the sound, so without the text chat in English or whatever, I was just listening to. I had no idea what they were saying, basically, because I'm not good with other languages, but they're all congregated here, talking away fairly rapidly. As is Italian, well, it's like the French really. Their language seems to be like a tape recorder on double speed. But
I think that only sounds like that to an outsider.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's like some languages do lend themselves to different speeds, as sort of culturally. I mean, the difference between American and Australian, for example, they're both variants of English, but you wouldn't believe it half the time. And even in America, I remember, you're in New York and people speak really fast. Then you fly out to Arizona and it's all slow. You've hit the West Coast, boy. It's slow here.
Well, I have quite a different theory on that. I think that every language, some languages pronounce every syllable. They speak every syllable. Like Spanish, for example, you have every syllable spoken, and in German, you swallow half of the syllables. You just people just know what you're saying even if you talk slurry. So German sounds a lot slower than Spanish, but you say exactly the same amount of things at the same amount of time. But in Spanish, you have to pronounce the double of syllables, so it sounds much faster. So, and I think that's with other languages more or less the same.
That's a good theory.
Yeah, I think I do that in English quite a bit. I mean, I didn't notice it myself, but I mean, I'm sure one lets words fall into each other if it's obvious, rather than fuss around with individual syllables.
Yeah, and normally you don't recognize it yourself when you speak, if it's your language, when you swallow things or
What
speak.
the frig is that?
Oh, what the hell is he doing there?
That's part of the exhibit. Zelensky's in there at the other end of the room, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
I thought I
okay.
saw it, but I was not sure. But with this monster, I'm quite sure.
Quite sure about that. Yeah, I wish
Yeah.
I wish that was a torture machine or whatever it is hanging on to there. Yeah, what? Something happens. There he is. That's his Zelensky.
Exactly.
Oh, so if you actually click, he speaks. The same with Putin.
Oh, okay.
So there is a sound involved there, but of course it's in Italian. I think well, anyway, I remember clicking on it and I got more sound. But
Whose build is this?
There we are, Tina Bay.
Oh, it's
This,
Tina Bay.
this, by the way, I forgot to say.
It's
I think we got the lower. I think we got the lower third up here. This is a region called Ukpa,
yeah.
I always make the mistake of going to the museum link, but it's not. It's separate from that. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge exhibit there, in fact. So. These are just three artist stops on the whole thing there, which now takes place, virtually every week on a Friday until everybody's been done, so to speak. Cool. Come forward. Come forward. So there was this was Tyran, without this is really just, I think we've got all the biomass bit here. Got film really of all the exhibit here, and Sergi's Arts, and then forget, is this part of Tina's or yes?
Yes.
Yeah, it must be. That I love this shot on video. She's still, and then there's an animated army moving behind her, and it makes it's just a static build, but it gives a whole sense of dragging this thing along. Build people behind. Okay, so that was all Tina's. I love the signatures floating in thin air too. Well, it's the same with Tosha's exhibit and everybody else's. A nice way of knowing who's doing it. And what do we see? Oh, right. Okay. Now I forget who this. You know what I'm talking about here, Tosha. This is actually a slides from a film.
Yes.
Would that be Sergi's or would that be?
No, that is Kapkat Ragu, and two others I forgot right now.
Right. Okay. So it would.
Venus Adored and
Taco Monday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Taco Monday was Sergi's Off was the first one we saw. And Tina's the one.
No. What you just showed was from the week before, the week that my exposition was also seen, was Venus Adore, Kapkat Ragu, and Livio.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then I had imported this ready. Okay, I completely forgot about that. Okay, so this is slides of part of this exhibit. I'm going to let's get this Okay. This was just one part of a film. Now, I actually, okay, we're going to, I don't know where it'd be, gone to all the work of getting this, that actually played a 10-minute film, but I think we'll use it another week when we got our sound working again. Because, as you can see from the slides here, there's a story going on, and we're just seeing it in the form of slides. As we were going along, sort of filming it frame by frame. But there is a whole movie of this, and it tells a compelling story in its own right. So I'm going to keep that around for a future week. There's a bit there. That is Tosha's build at the same thing. So we'll just have a look at that. I knew there was. I knew we had a tiny clip of you somewhere. Again, there we are. Again, it's all done as a kind of slideshow. In fact, actually, it wasn't. I didn't even take these pictures. These were taken by, I think it was by Star, and I made a slideshow out of them. This is part of Tosha's again, and
Oh, that's not. This one is.
No, so it's not. It's not.
Milo Minotaur.
Yours is the one with the build. There was amazing. I really enjoyed this one because there was in audio and whatever. There was a lot of discussion. Okay, there we are. There's Tosha's.
Yes, there was a lot of
There's
discussion.
a lot of discussion about especially Tosha's about the meaning of it and things. You know the.
Yeah, that's because Tosha always turns everything political. And then everybody.
Oh yeah, but it was good. It was very good. Okay, yeah, and so that other one was Cap Ragu, Venus Adored, but we will. This is actually the film that started itself now, but again, we can't watch it because we can watch it, but without the music, it's lost. So we'll wait till we've got our stuff together again. And this is a Will and Wobbit song. Again, we'll wait for decent sound. I'll play this because, to be honest, there's nothing much of the sound worth it, but it's interesting to see. This is a region or somebody from the Japan Open Grid, it's called. It's open SAM, and it's just called Japan Open Grid, the grid. And this little lady is filming herself in a region called Sento 01. That's SENTO, and then 01 in numbers, and then in the Japan Open Grid. And well, we'll look at it. But hopefully, I didn't have the address handy, but hopefully they've put their own address near the end of the film or something. A bit different. There's a lot of like music videos and things coming from Japan and even China that are obviously filmed in World, maybe Second Life, and you know they're very innocent sort of sounding songs and things, or basically cute and sort of sweet. And it's interesting that I don't know there's something charismatic. Charismatic is not the word. Something very distinctive about the bills here. I mean. I guess this could be anybody who wanted to do this, but there is something, you know, of the composition of the. Well, I was going to say the picture, but the place that just feels like it belongs in a less familiar culture than we know. That building certainly does, I think, but it's almost like a mixture of real and fairy tale, and very, very odd. But it's nice to know that, you know, if I want to go to Japan, it's just a Hypergrid jump away, you know. Don't have to worry about going to Japan and downloading a Japanese client or something like that. You can just hyper jump over there and enjoy culture.
But it is also part of OpenSim, is it?
Oh yes, it's an OpenSim grid. It's actually called Japan Open Grid.
Yeah.
I think this is all one word, and then it's the usual, you know, port number. Japan Open Grid, location, owner creator. There we are. But then they don't give you the teleport. 12th of May, so it's only a few days away actually. Okay, I'm just going to pause this here because this we're on now is my special feature, so to speak, for this week. So I'm just going to click up here onto the web pages again. And one more post from the Craft Gear down Cafenio, if I pronounce it right. This is Fiona Salmon writing about a region called Utopia. And this is one I would be intending to visit and possibly get somebody along from next week. What's interesting here is there seems to be a mystery involved. The blog sort of explains it, but you go looking around, searching for clues. The air is still holding its breath, and the ruins are there, and you've got to figure out the Cyclops comes, and you got to figure out stuff basically. And it's a sort of science fiction-y kind of story. And so the region, we haven't been there yet, so we won't do the lower third, but the region is called something. Yeah. Right. Yeah, there we are. Craftworld.org as the usual thing. Then the region is called Utopia. And I guess going to Utopia would do it for you. The last figure is 25, which means it's on the ground. So you land somewhere in it anyway. And yeah, that's just how to.
It sounds interesting.
It does, yeah. I plan to go and film there. Maybe tomorrow, the next day, or whatever. So we can look at that next week. And I noticed she's on an earlier, but I'm wondering if Fiona actually speaks English at all. I'm not quite sure about that. It'd be nice because she's been involved in quite a lot of the UFO things as well. So we'll see. And Utopia again is Evercray again, who's the same. Quite literally the same artist we were just looking at in the Utbar region, her exhibit there. But this is actually a whole sim of hers, including science fiction and a land of mystery. And she's a fan of many interests. And oh, yes. Okay, so to our final stop this week, however, is still on Craft Grid, but it's called Paradise Cobra. And let me see. Yeah, there's certainly no sound on the film we took of this anyway. So welcome to Paradise Cobra. This is the landing area here, which we start with. And when you actually, this actually wasn't the landing area. I found it later, and I think it probably is a landing area, but advertised somewhere. But yeah, they give you, 3 or 4 different regions to go to. And it was advertising myself for some reason. I think that's where they show you the latest person to be there. So Cobra Schmidt has been there a lot before me, by look. But anyway, it's an obvious position. And one of the things I saw first time round from a different entrance point was the thing we're going to see first this time, because it actually did sort of res. I've just come up into the sky from that island. I've come quite a long way up. And it's got a network of these floating islands. You probably recognize the structure where they're sort of pointed underneath. I've actually got a set of them here on the Inworld review thing, but I haven't used them yet. I wanted to have a sky place with rope bridges, but I don't know. But you can see here what they've put them. A lot of them are very similar. What they've actually done is put them all together as stacked different layers, so it becomes a whole landscape in the sky. And ironically, considering where Safari went this week, they also seem to have a different corner for each season. So in one season, you're in a corner. This is all just a mini continent in the sky, but one corner is winter, and then it gets more. They put the snow down and everything else like that. But as you move around, you've got the little bridges and things holding the 4 corners together, and each corner does seem to be a vague. It's not so pronounced, but as the winter one. But I guess it's meant to be a different season. You can walk over the rocks or whatever, or you can take the quick shortcut on the bridge. If you've got advice to go, it's probably not a good idea to look down, bearing in mind that bridge is hanging out in the sky. This is probably a nice blossomy looking list. It has what you call the spring feel, I guess. things coming. Things did come in very slowly here, simply because of the size of this particular build. And as Liku said earlier, I mean, it is just jam-packed with brims and everything in close proximity, and it's a large area. I don't know how large it is. This particular sky build might be, well, it's got to be bigger than a standard sim, I think. But on the ground level, of course, this sky build is just off at one edge of the, the whole mini continent almost. But as we'll see later, when I get down to Earth, so to speak, and it's quite a bit smoother. But you can, again, it's just like a lot of the ones we've seen today. This is just very picturesque, well, apart from the great bits. And sort of, the moment I saw it, I got to start filming a bit of this so we can have it on the show. And it does gel a little bit with the kind of stuff I've been building around here, around the studio here. Not this particular sky thing, but I like the idea of building something where there are pathways, but people can't find them, and they spend a long time getting lost and find little things at the end of the day. Who knows? So I think this is the point where I go back down to the island below. It's one of the landings. There we go. Yeah, look, the water is just pouring down there, going miles down to the ground. It's not actually as high up as it at first looks. When you're at ground level, you can sort of see the underhang of some of those floating islands, but yeah, so that's that film done. I'll let it auto switch. Saves me trying to load it separately. Yeah. So the next bit, I moved to a completely different bit down on the ground. I teleported away from the island, the landing bit, and found a bit here where I actually changed my camera so I could wander around, and it all behaved a lot better when I was walking around, because I was actually in camera. I was trying to film areas that were actually so gigantic. It's probably no surprise that a lot of grey objects were there. But down on the ground, it was simple, except for the lions and tigers and other things that were giving me funny looks. All kind of mixed up
But you
together.
got away without being eaten.
I did, surprisingly. Some of the giraffes there. The trouble with the ground level, I mean, the person must know this, the giraffes are part of the safari iconography, aren't they? When you're walking around the ground level, you can't see up to the necks of the giraffes. They're not. You can't get up these steps either. This is I know what's happened there. It's some mesh steps, and they haven't quite reduced the height enough. But again, rather picturesque on the ground. But this is massive. This small area I actually cover in this, 4 minutes, 6 minutes this morning. Is but a fraction of the size of the whole region. The region, must be the equivalent, by far the equivalent of.
And did you mention how the region was called?
Yes, yeah, Paradise Cobra.
Oh, that's Paradise Cobra. Okay.
Yeah.
It's my dog jumped on my lap, and with the movement of his tail, he muted my microphone, and I didn't notice it until 2 minutes later.
Well, I take it he hasn't discovered the keyboard yet.
No, because the keyboard is a little pushed away.
Yes, it would be Tara. One of the cats just loved the keyboard. It obviously thought it was saying something, but it was strange arrays of letters, many of which were repeat letters in sequences. I'm sure it meant something to the cat, but I never did figure it out.
It looks beautiful, the region.
It is. use a good use of like. I mean, again, the autumnal covers, the light beams coming in, and the colourful flowers. That's something I'm still trying to get more of to dumb down here. I've got the grasses and the trees and fresh forms, but I need more really colourful cloud, the bright light flowers. But it is, and a lot more colour here. And the obligatory mushrooms. I don't know why. I did the fairy tale sort of region once where I put mushrooms everywhere, but the only mushrooms I ever see are actually so small, these gigantic mushrooms just don't seem to fit a sort of a human-sized region. Hello, Mr. Mushroom, why are you big as me?
Yeah, but most of the flowers are not so big as they are being shown in virtual worlds either,
Yeah, that's true.
And actually not the house.
It's all what you make it. I mean, a lot of things I use, they're big, so I'll scale them down, or they're too small and I'll scale them up, or I'll convert the shape into something that's completely different. I used to have a load of mesh shapes from somewhere, and it was all things like cutlery, like plates and saucers and stuff like that. But it made wonderful terrain, especially things like saucers. You just turned them up and down and retextured the mesh. And you had an immediate sort of bump in the land, which wasn't, it wasn't a bump map. It was just an upside down piece of saucers scaled up to look like a hill. Yeah, cheating all the way. Oh, I love this. But I've got that build actually. It's called a Lover's Pool or something. It's one of the few things I recognised here. It's one of those. This is one of those regions where everything is locked down. They don't allow you to copy anything, which I always find funny because when I recognise things, I think, oh, I got one of those in somewhere, and so did they, but they don't allow you to copy it, I'd rather think if somebody's got something for free, they should pass on the copy ability. But they put it together so well. No, so the tents are not quite rest again there. I get the feeling of it. So we're not doing too. Oh, this area was sweet. Yeah, this reminded me of another region I went to where the landing bit was in a swamp, or a bit like this. Lots of mini islands, and you had to walk between them and sort of figure out where you were. It wasn't actually this because it's had a different quality to it. And checking how we're doing on time. Oh, well, of course, we started half an hour late. So, right. Well, what I didn't mention earlier is, of course, that Safari, of course, continues this week on Wednesday. We meet at grid.hgsafari.org, port number 58002, and then the region is called HG capitals space Safari. And I have a little note here saying where we're going to be. Meanwhile, by the way, we're continuing with clips from Paradise Copper in the background because they're nice to look at, nothing else. Right. Destination 1 is going to be the Blood Moon Grid, and it's a region called Volcano Stirrup. That's VULCNAO and then STIRPE. Don't know much about it, but our Perona and family welcome us to their romantic Gothic region. Elegant outfits are encouraged. So, well, James has his safari bow tie these days, so he's predicted this, I think. Yeah,
I have so many outfits. We have so many outfits we can choose.
You've got a nice. You sometimes turn up with the nice bow tie look and everything else like that. So that's totally out of context. Most people well, I don't know. You just think of safari, and you people think about safari hats like Livingstone, Dr. Livingstone sort of costume. But
Don't ever accuse
some
James
people,
of being
some people
in
turn up in
context.
their tuxes, don't they?
Right.
Yeah, Destination 2 anyway is an avatar we know, Fitheach Ewan. I think that's how to pronounce it. Fitheachech, and then the second name is Eun. I always think it's Fit Teach, but it's sort of Fit Teach if I look at the spelling correctly, and then Ewan. Anyway, he's going to show us around a funfair region called Wild Thangs. That's WYLD, and then Thangs is things, but spelt with an A. And it's on the Wildwood Bayou grid. So WYLD, WOOD, Bayou grid. It's a large, low-impact region that offers a huge range of exciting pastimes. Be ready to skate, ride, sail, and dance, and have fun. And to repeat itself, it says, ready to skate, ride, and have fun. I think must have been a copy on that line or something. Right, so, all that happening on Wednesday at a meeting at gridhgsafari.org. If you are late and you missed the departure, there is actually a board there that you can click on, and it will give you the teleport links to both stops. So don't worry about having to get there bang on the noon stroke of the clock, so to speak. You will be able to catch up if need be, as we know well, don't we, Tosha and James? I guess we very frequently miss the. You can never be sure you're going to be there at the beginning. It normally takes off pretty damn quickly on the hour, because obviously the regions we're visiting have been sort of booked in, and their owners will be waiting to greet us and stuff. There we are, the good old thing again. Giraffe. But that was camera view, so you can see the top of its neck. Yes. I think we're back in the same place I took the other film off this morning. These films we're watching now are the ones from 10, 11 days ago. Hasn't changed much, of course. I mean, I bet it's so big, if anything has changed, it'll be pretty difficult to find it, When there's some aerial shots, I think, and you can get. I think I ended one of the previous clips. I probably wasn't watching myself. There's an aerial shot that really gave you an idea of the size of the place, even though a lot of it was grey. Sweet. It was too busy cleaning itself to bite me. Yeah.
Lucky for you.
Oh, and this the rain again. This bridge. This is at the I kept thinking. I don't know whether it's north or south or anything, but I kept on thinking of the northern end of the complex. So it's to the west of that network of sky islands, and bridge goes over here to a sort of building, and that's well put together. The water there looks very convincing as it goes to sea. There's something blocking my view, by the way. That colour scheme is. I got stuck against an invisibrim or something like that. There we go. So out over the ocean there is where the islands in the air are, and if you teleport from the beach below those islands to the grab the nearest point of land, and it's identifiable by that sort of castle-like structure that we just sort of saw. And that white blob, I kept thinking it was snow in the sky, but it's not. It's mist, and when you're close up and it's fully rezzed, it sort of means you've got the canopy of the trees all around, and the bit that hasn't got the canopy has just got fog over it. So. Oh, and this is looks like some of the area I filmed 10 days ago is the same I got to today, but never mind. There's a lot to explore here anyway, so I just recommend it as a visit to go to and look around. It's a shame you didn't. Oh, that's it. And that's the sky one again. Oh yes. Sorry, this is the final bit of film. That's the sky view again. Okay, I think we can probably call it almost quits here. This is more or less showing what we saw earlier, the sky bit. This is the beach down below. Paradise Cobra Beach. Never. Don't believe it. What an odd name. I never didn't figure it's an odd name, Paradise Cobra. It may, cobras are snake things, aren't they, that bite you? And it doesn't gel with the word paradise, but maybe that's just me. So, very much this sort of...
It's probably the snake that offered the apple in paradise.
Ooh!
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the creation myth thing, isn't it? Yeah, maybe that's... I wouldn't take an apple from a cobra. But no, I don't believe in any of that mythology anyway. Fanciful. This, I've got to admit, is sort of archetypical beach. Oh, there's the cobras. Yes, that's what I thought they were. The cobras. Did you see them? They're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there they are. So obviously, well, who knows? They obviously have some significance there anyway. Oh, and that's back over to the landing area I started with today. That time, so that's just showing islands in the air, of course, for the bit we saw, the flying bits. Enchanted Forest, I think, is the vast majority of it, but I'm curious to know how far my camera is going to pan out, because those islands look big, but only when you see them in the context of a continent. Well, it wouldn't all fit in camera, even in aerial view, but I tried to angle it so it could convey as much of the size of it as possible. My camera came to a pause there. Even camera people take a break. I think that happened for a few minutes there. Right, there we go. Oh, these may have been... I'll say I got 4 clips here, and this is the last one. I'm not sure in terms of order here. Fifth of the... Okay, they've been... Yeah, the first 2 were the most recent ones, I think. I can't remember. Okay. You might be fooled into thinking this is actually the same clip as earlier. Ah, right, here we go. This wasn't in the earlier ones. Neptune, is that the character? I've seen him on a number of different sims. I think it's Neptune. Mondo is Mondo is world, isn't it? I don't know what the other bit is. There we go. Okay, now this is coming over from that island. The grey bits there, I believe, are the big castle-like building and thing, which even close up we didn't get to see really, and some buildings down there. This is just sort of what I was calling the north, and it doesn't go much further up, but it moves down to the south quite a very long distance, really. Plus all these outhang bits as well. There's something about islands in the sky. I kept on panning up there for some reason. I don't know what that was. Oh, 60. Oh. So, extended silence here. Right, we have about a few more minutes of this to play. Not much, actually. So, any other thoughts for me to review before, because we'll be closing the show, I guess, after this. Anything you want to bring up while we're still chatting? Give away any comments. Isn't this not nice?
No, it looks
nice.
interesting. It's nice.
Yeah, I wish there was more context. I wish I knew who the builders were and more
Yeah.
about it. But
Yes, it wasn't easy to find out. I mean, if yeah, there's no familiar name, as it were. There is here on Craft Grid, so they must be known on the grid, I would have thought, somehow. And it surprised me, actually, because I do go to be, you know, since we've been over here, I've been grid hopping around Craft Grid quite a bit and things, and there's a lot of. It's actually a bit unusual to find something that is rich and grown out like this. So I say there's a lot of arse builds and things like that, and smaller regions and things on Craft. But this one suddenly struck me as, is this still Craft? You know, or if I teleported to another grid, you know. So yeah, I don't know, but I'd probably go back there again and to, instead of filming, it would just be nice to potter around and, you know, on the ground, and just hope it's a good day and everything you walk towards reses rather than trying to get everything to res from the sky, which is actually, considering how much is there, I think it did a pretty good job of resing for me. What was surprising was where the trees res so quickly. I mean, I'm very used to getting to places where everything seems to be grey because you're looking at tree skeletons that haven't yet res, but well, that's a case in point there. Okay. Well, we're not done too badly. We were running half an hour late today, so we haven't done too badly. What are we, about 1 3/4 hours?
Yep, right, just about exactly.
Yeah, okay. We've had longer shows. We're still probably 15 minutes over the ideal, but there you go. Hopefully next week we will be able to actually show you some of the things we didn't get to show you today, and we'll actually have a sound system that works. We won't know till we're about to go on air, of course, because technically everything this week was set up the same as the last time we did it, and the sound on the films and everything worked perfectly. But it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle. You know, it worked last time. Why not? I'll reboot again at some point and try it out again. Try it out again, one way or the other. Okay, so that's about it, I think. Anything else from James?
No, looking forward to. I would like to try and make it to Safari this Wednesday since I've missed the last two, but I have a large work commitment, so I'm going to try and come by, but I have my doubts.
Can't be 100% sure.
Yeah, do we know
I will be there.
Yeah, do we know what outing this is of the 10 in the season? I hope it's not the last one.
Oh, sorry, no, Terra Incognito, you mean? Right, no,
this Wednesday, yeah.
Oh no, Wednesday, yeah, Safari. It's this is the last but one.
Okay.
So there'll be another one next week.
Well, I'll be there for the finale.
Yeah.
So I'll be there.
Yeah, this is Blood Moon Grid, and Wildwood Bayou Grid are the ones this week.
Right.
So
with any luck, I'll be retiring sometime soon, and then I'll just Safari all day long.
Oh yeah, it's fun, but sometimes you need a nap.
Yeah.
That's what I do anyway.
James,
yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
No, the more time you guys have on your hands, the better we can do more.
That's right.
Lots more. But yeah, it's sort of. I'm thinking it'd be nice to actually produce, given all the footage we got, to edit it all together into features of places and things where we put commentary and audio into it. But it's a lot of work, but I mean, it's nice to know it's accumulating. Of course, organizing even the archives is bad enough. But yeah, so not to forget this Friday, by the way, as well as Safari on Wednesday, May 30. May That's May 30th, May 20th. Yeah, May 23rd will be this Friday, won't it? That's right. So the Terra Iniquita will be Bohemio Love, Valor Quest, Bonetto, and Laura Antici. They'll be the three exhibitors, taking part this coming Friday.
Okay.
And you'd have to double check the times here, because I was turning up. I was under the impression it was 9 o'clock European time, which of course would only be 8 for me. But actually, I was logged in, and I thought, oh, I'm missing one. And eventually, an hour and a half later, Rosanna sent me a TP. So, which would have been more like 10:30 European time. So they don't make it very clear on the poster there. But anyway, so you can think European time, sort of mid to late evening for those. And if you speak Italian, so much the better. But if you're lucky, there'll be somebody speaking English or giving you a little synopsis as well. Right. Okay. So that's it from us. James will hopefully make it on Wednesday, but we'll certainly be back next week here, I am sure. So thank you, James.
Yeah, sure thing, Mel.
And Tosha, most unusual. You sure you got nothing more to say?
No, really not. Well, yes, one thing.
I knew.
Curiously enough, you knew it. Curiously enough, I just looked at the craft chat group, and I saw that exactly tonight there is like an opening event at the Paradise Cobra.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The place we've just been.
Yes.
Well, I'll be darned.
And
I wonder which part of
the people inviting are Robbie Storm and Claudia Sol Smith.
Well, I might, if we're closing down, I might as well pop over there and see what. So does it say what time?
They wrote a little while ago.
Yeah.
I did not check the posting, but they wrote a little while ago. But anyways, maybe they're there still. It's not
Well, I've got the landmark here from when I was filming earlier and stuff, so we can kind of see. Right. Oh, what a coincidence, eh? I can't remember seeing anything there that looked like a venue of any sort. It was just like landscape and stuff and animals and whatever. But I know it was so big, I never saw half of it. So, where was that? Was it like a Hypergrid forum or wiki or something, or you saw they posted from, or it's an Inworld group?
Oh no! You're asking me where I got the information from?
Yeah,
I'm in the craft group. You just have to go into the craft group, then you get all the information. But it's practically all in Italian. So I just take a glance at it to see if something interesting at first glance, and this just struck my eye. Normally, I don't look very much.
I'll join that because I've got quite a few craft groups already, but and open sim groups, but nothing like the the singing out that happens.
So it's also listed on the craftworld.org website events calendar, and it's called the Serata Romantica Primavera, and it's 10 p.m. Rome time, Rome and Berlin. So
right. So that's that would be not. Oh well, it's been going an hour. Mm-hmm. It's still probably worth popping over there.
Yep.
And it's just Paradise Cobra. It says, or is a particular
as the region. Yep, it's that region.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, right. Well, then it is that. Yeah.
It's a big region. Okay.
Well, like I said, this craft group. You can become a member or you leave it. I mean, I normally
in Discord, Tosha?
No.
Okay.
Inworld. It's an Inworld group.
Right.
And and always
Wow.
always member of it, and but it is almost all, as it is almost all Italian. I just take a glance to see if I find anybody's name that I know, or maybe something English or German.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
And like I said, just now I looked and it just popped into my eye. So,
Oh yeah, I found it. So, Craft Freebie, Craft, and yeah. Oh, so lots of members of this. I have to join that, don't I? Keep in touch with the local community. Oh, there's 1,500 neighbours there. So,
yeah, there are a lot of members.
Crafts. Oh. Well, of course, I've got to remember this. Of course, Park Des Arts used to be in Craft, didn't they? Before it, they changed their ID. Craft Anniversary. Oh, I missed that, didn't I?
Craft Anniversary is.
And New Year.
Only important once a year.
Yeah. Too late, Craft World. Oh, well, I've joined the main one, then I'll get some more later. I think what I do is, as soon as we finish the show,
I think
I'm going to teleport over there.
It's just called Craft and nothing else. The group.
Yeah, I've got it. I've joined it. Yeah,
oh,
that's okay. Yeah, I was doing it on the other screen while I was talking, so I found it. Yeah, so I can look up the thing. Okay, well, I'll call it quits. As far as the public is concerned, anyway. So, my thanks to Tosha, Tyran, and James Atlloud. Thank you both, and you can both say thank you about in unison. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, Mal.
Oh well, I thought there was a song in it somewhere. Anyway, we'll be back again same time next week. So meanwhile, it's a very good morning, a very good afternoon, a very good evening, and indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever, on whenever you are. And it's a wrap.